Welcome to creating an e-commerce social media strategy that converts. Today's agenda is you'll meet your host, we'll go over why social media works so well for e-commerce, how to conduct your own social media audit, how to execute your social strategy effectively, what to look for when measuring success, and then we'll close with an open Q&A with our panel.
We'll also tell you how to qualify to win a free social media audit from our team, so we hope you'll stay with us to the very end.
Throughout the webinar, you can tweet us comments and questions at #SellMoreOnline, or simply submit your questions through the webinar software.
We plan to answer as many questions as we can today, but if we don't get to your questions, we will be posting all our answers in a follow-up blog in about a week's time.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get started. Hi, my name is Mikkayla Casey. I'm a proud supporter of small, medium, and local businesses. I've been managing social media and SEO campaigns at Volusion for close to a year. One of my favorite pieces of social media marketing is the ability to have real-time engagement with your audience, especially via Twitter, my favorite social network. If you like Twitter as much as I do, be sure to follow me. Any of these blue links you see in this webinar won't be clickable during the webinar. We will send all attendees these slides and all the resources we reference throughout the presentation.
Hello everybody, my name is Alison Garrison and I lead the SEO, social media, and marketing consulting teams here at Volusion. My core background is in SEO and branding, but I've really enjoyed exploring the social media landscape in the last few years. I particularly love it because it pairs so well with SEO and it allows for intense target marketing, which really makes it cost effective. I personally am most active on Facebook, Pinterest, and LinkedIn, and if you're active on LinkedIn, I would love to connect. I'm also very excited to introduce our special guest, Ron Schott from Simply Measured. Ron is a well-known expert in the social media realm, and we're so grateful he was available to carve out some time for today's webinar. Welcome, Ron.
Thanks, Allison. Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Schott. I'm the Director of Professional Services at Simply Measured, and Simply Measured is the leading social analytics tool for marketers, which is really cool for me because I've actually spent most of my time before I came into the SaaS world as a digital marketer, working with brands like Microsoft, Adidas, and Kia. And most of my time in that space has been spent on helping them perfect their social marketing strategy and analytics. I'm active everywhere, but if you want to interact, go ahead and hit me up on @RonSchott at Twitter.
And while the likes of Adidas might be a bit aspirational for us, there is a lot we can learn from how they strategically engage their market. All right. Let's start off by identifying why social media is so great for e-commerce. Dan Levy puts this perfectly. This isn't social marketing or digital marketing. This is marketing, period. This is where many of your current and potential customers come every day. It's important to recognize that social media is in fact marketing, and done correctly, it leads to sales. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I had a real hard time convincing merchants that social media was worth their time and effort, but today we have very clear data showing that it absolutely is.
Right, and with the average user spending nearly 2 hours every day on various social platforms, it's a space you need to occupy. But there are other reasons it pairs so well with e-commerce.
First and foremost, it just makes financial sense. Social media is very cost effective. It may be the most cost effective marketing channel out there at present. It has lower click costs, and we're talking pennies per click, and very large reach. Along with cost benefits, social media has superior targeting. People provide a lot of personal data to their social channels without blinking an eye, which means you can specifically identify who you want to message and who it should display to. This includes not only demographics, but their personal interests, life events, job title, location. It's crazy how targeted you can become. If I wanted, I could target a 30-year-old female insurance professional in the Seattle area who enjoys kickboxing. It's wild, particularly with Facebook.
And once you've built a solid engaged audience, you can leverage it. After all, birds of a feather flock together, and people happily share with each other in social media environments. What's also key is that you can use tools like Simply Measured to better understand your audience and target similar people. This can help you increase the size of your audience across networks.
Yeah, that's actually an area we spend a lot of time working on with our clients. As you mentioned, targeting in the social space is incredibly granular. You think of all the data you get through Facebook and Twitter and places like that, and it's not helpful for advertising and delivery of ads, but it actually helps you understand your audiences a lot better. And so if you really think about it, If you know what your audiences are talking about, you know who they are, you know what they're doing in the space, you can actually craft better content, whether that's organic or paid, and create better experiences with them. That means they're going to be more likely to convert, more likely to do the things you want them to do in the social space.
Social media really facilitates that personal connection, and Ron makes a critical point here. Content that connects with your audience is more likely to convert and be shared. That's because social media is, for the most part, fairly democratized, meaning your audience can share and grow your following for you, which levels the playing field a bit. Even small and medium businesses can compete with very large entrenched brands here. True, you'll need to invest a bit in Facebook ads, that's a given. But really the greatest costs are going to be your time and creative energy.
And we've seen original content from small businesses go viral with very little investment. But even if you don't have that viral piece, you can build a large, engaged following surprisingly fast.
And your audience will grow exponentially. The growth feeds itself over time. Effective social media will create brand ambassadors, and these folks will actually be part of your marketing team. When your audience begins to grow itself organically, that's a very powerful thing. Last but not least, we encourage all of our merchants to think of social media as a business tool. Social media allows you to monitor and research your audience, which helps you frame your branding and messaging. It allows you to respond to customers in near real time, which resolves problems quickly and turns detractors into brand enthusiasts. And as you begin to build your community on social networks, you can amplify your messaging and even position your brand as a thought leader in the industry.
Social media also enhances your brand strategy. It can give your brand life and personality, which creates affinity with your audience and leads to brand loyalty.
Yeah, that's definitely true. If you look at these companies that actually let their brand personality really shine through, whether that's in the B2C or B2B space, you'll actually see brands that are driving incremental increases in that brand awareness and that sort of brand affinity. My favorite brand to talk about here is actually GE, a brand that you're not going to see a lot of stuff from that you would ever buy as a consumer, but they do a great job of kind of living what they are as a brand and using that in networks like Instagram and Pinterest, places where you wouldn't necessarily think you'd see it.
Along with increasing your brand power, social media can also boost SEO, something that's really near and dear to my heart, by impacting what I like to call the SEO trinity: authority, trust, and relevance. A strong, active audience will signal authority and trust to the search engines, while your shared content can boost your relevancy and result in natural backlinks to the website. All SEO gold.
In fact, social media is the #1 way people discover your content, making it an essential part of your SEO strategy.
And while all these benefits are very compelling, we are in the business of making money here. So it would be remiss not to highlight that social media can drive sales. Lots of sales, up 26% year over year and still growing, and with e-commerce orders from social growing more than 200% year over year. And 74% of consumers report that social media influences their day-to-day purchasing habits.
And this could be from a variety of things. It could be from an ad that they saw, a review from their friend or favorite blogger, or from a well-designed pin on Pinterest.
And if you're not sure where to start, Facebook is almost always a given for e-commerce. It's still one of the largest and easiest platforms to get your product in front of your audience. 38% of Facebook users purchase a product after liking or sharing it, and 47% of Americans say that, Facebook influences their purchasing decisions.
And Facebook's retargeting efforts can also help increase conversions for your store.
That's something that I've been very impressed with. Facebook ads have really great results. After Facebook, I almost always recommend Pinterest. Since it's visually driven, it's just a great platform for products. People literally use this platform as a shopping channel. I know I do. It's one of my favorites. And here's a quick screenshot of my feed. As you can see, I use it for recipes, home decor, style, clothing, travel, you name it. And I actually get frustrated when I find something on Pinterest and I'm not able to buy it. Currently, Pinterest users skew female heavily, but male usage is on the rise, and we're seeing more of this represented in like men's fashion pins, fitness pins, and automotive pins.
Pinterest also offers rich pins, which allow you to include important information directly on the pin. Though they can be a bit more time-consuming, any of the 6 types of rich pins can help increase engagement with your pins.
Especially since Pinterest just launched a new buy it button, actually. So that just happened, Mikkayla, which is really great. Talking about rich pins, But that buy it button actually gives you the chance to buy stuff right inside the Pinterest applications, whether that's on your phone or whether it's in the browser. Users are like in that experience, deep inside, kind of looking through all that stuff that they love, and they can actually buy things right there with one click. So that's going to be pretty big to see how that really affects sales.
And I have yet to personally use the buy it button because literally it launched last week, I think. But considering how much time I spend on Pinterest, this is Alison talking, it's probably just a question of time. It can take some time for new features like this to really resonate and be adopted, but time will tell. So yes, social media makes business sense for e-commerce. We've established this, but you have to be smart about how you use it. That's why you need to start with a social media audit.
Before you go embarking on any social media efforts, we recommend getting the lay of the land so that you can measure your success correctly, while also finding areas for where you can make your mark. Some social media audits are very thorough, but at the very least, they should include defining your audience, understanding your competitive landscape, and finding the right channels to focus your efforts on. So let's get started by asking, who is my audience? Describe the person who would be purchasing your products. What do they look like? What motivates them? Is it a happily married mother of 3 who's concerned about the environment, or is it a millennial on the go looking for convenience? You'll want to cover both the demographics and psychographics of your audience.
Demographics are essentially factual characteristics like age, gender, marital status, whereas psychographics are their interests, opinions, and activities. You put these together and you'll get a better understanding of what makes your audience tick.
One of the great things about social, and I kind of touched on it earlier, is that there's a ton of data at your fingertips when it comes to understanding your audience and how they behave. So not only can you gain information about the people who already follow your brands or follow competitors of your brands, you can get that demo info, you can get info about where they are, things like that. You can also dig deeper and get engagement data and start learning about what they like, what they talk about. What are they saying about things that are relevant to your brand? Those can really give you a great idea about who these people really are and what they're doing online.
I think I agree with that. Bridging these kind of data sets can be super powerful when it comes to messaging and framing your brand. To help find out what your audience looks like, start with your intuition. Do a quick gut check. I think you know your current client base better than anyone else. Next, you can check something like Google Analytics, which is free and will provide you insights into the current visitors to your website, including things like age, gender, interests. And in full disclosure, honestly, some of these interests are fairly generic, like likes to watch TV. But some of the interests may surprise you and help influence your strategy.
And then you can also look into Facebook Insights, which will provide similar demographic information, while Pinterest and Twitter also have analytics tools that can help, and all these tools are free.
And if you ever want to go deeper, you can use different tools, some of which aren't free, but some of which are as well, to really help you dig down into those engagement metrics I mentioned earlier, so seeing what type of content people like. Ultimately, that makes your marketing more impactful and more efficient. If you can spend more time focusing on stuff that's going to drive impact and drive conversions rather than stuff that maybe won't, you're actually doing your work smarter, not just harder.
Yeah, and Mikkayla, Ron, and I will talk a little bit more about these metrics in the last part of the webinar. We also recommend that you revisit this sort of information fairly regularly. This isn't a one-time spot check because new insights will come up over time.
So after researching your audience, you can create a persona. You might have one very clear persona or multiple, maybe even 5 or 6. This will be dependent on why people are purchasing your product, as different personas will have different motivations. Having a solid persona in place really helps you target your messaging and create a social media strategy that appeals to the right people.
So in this example, we have Leah and Sarah. Leah is a 30-something mother looking for summer activities for her kids. And Sarah, on the other hand, is a young elementary school teacher. She's on a tight budget, and she's looking for class project material. They're both interested in my art supplies, but they have very different motivations for buying these products, which means I need to target them with slightly different messaging in both my posts and my advertising. Sometimes there'll be a little overlap, but often more personalized messaging will appeal more greatly. So a great thing about social media is that it's very easy to conduct A/B testing to sort of measure your ad's performance and determine which messaging is working best with your audiences.
And once you know who you are talking to, you'll better understand what makes them tick. And that really is the key to a successful social media strategy. You want to not only know what their motivation is to purchase, but also the thing that triggers an emotional response.
So on this slide, we have a list of a few popular segments, the sort of high-level segments. And these are followed with things that are known to sort of appeal to that genre. These emotional triggers will lead to engagement, sharing, and ultimately it'll create a connection with your brand.
I just want to tell a quick story here just about a client of mine that's, if you know me, you know that I love pancakes, so I'm going to talk about IHOP for a second. But they're a client of mine back in the day, and they really defaulted to talking to people on social who they knew were already coming to IHOP, who they knew was like their core audience. Semi-older people, people in their 40s and 50s who would come in, have breakfast, or come in, have dinner, things like that. But after digging into their audiences a little bit more, we actually started finding that they had this very, very vocal audience on social. And we're talking college kids. So these are kids who are coming to IHOP late at night because IHOP was open 24 hours in some cases in some cities. And the content that they were posting and the content that they liked in general was kind of more irreverent, fun, and timely. And so that actually helped us really shift how we were talking as IHOP. During the day, IHOP eventually started moving to a Facebook-focused content strategy where they were giving kind of deal content and stuff to that older crowd, the older people who were using Facebook still. And then at night, they would shift over and start using Twitter and Instagram to post photos and more timely, fun content for those younger kids who were there at IHOP at night. And it actually turned out really well for them.
I know Mikkayla and I were inspecting their Instagram yesterday, and there was actually people proposing for prom on the Instagram and whatnot. It was really, really fun and engaging.
And this goes to show how looking at your data may help better inform your strategy. When a post is very successful, you should reflect on what that emotional spark was and consider a way to replicate that emotional connection or positive acknowledgement. We'll show you how to identify successful posts in the last part of the webinar, measuring success. Okay, so next we need to decide where your audience is most active. For those who don't know which network they should be on, reflect on the client personas you created. Where are your clients active? Chances are it includes Facebook, but Pinterest and Twitter are popular options too. Do not overlook industry-specific networks like Howls or Dogster. At the end of the day, don't spread yourself out too thin. It's better to be very effective on one channel than ineffective on 5.
I definitely agree there. I come from a data company, and so I'm always pushing customers to look at their data to help them kind of really figure out what they should be doing here. And I think it's really important to, find your customers, figure out where they're at, look at competitors or companies in similar verticals, and deep dive into those audiences. So before you really jump in there, you want to make sure you're taking some data into account. To go back to my IHOP example, IHOP knew that they would hit that older Facebook crowd, right? Those people who are on Facebook, who were their normal customers. But by digging into that younger crowd, they started to, find those new channels where they should be focusing more time, and they actually kind of split their budgets and split their teams to make that happen.
Right, and so after you figure out the channels that you want to occupy, we suggest researching who influences your audience. We find that influencers are an underutilized opportunity in e-commerce.
Ask yourself, who does your audience listen to? Look for folks who are talking about your industry or brand or competitor's brand, and move on to following industry-relevant bloggers, journalists, anyone with a high-profile social media account in your realm. Next, make plans to engage and contact your influencers. Thanks to social media, striking up a conversation is so much easier than it was 10 years ago.
You should be sure to follow your chosen influencers on any network that they're active on, and you can try to contact them via several ways. Either you can reach out via tweet, send them a message on Facebook, or the old-fashioned way of email. So relationships shouldn't be one-sided. You need to offer value. This brings to mind a merchant I work with that sells Indian ghee butter, a popular item for those living a paleo lifestyle. They worked with paleo blogs to offer coupons to their readers. If you've chosen to reach out to a blogger with a large reader base, consider offering them products for use in a giveaway as an exchange for a product write-up, or choose to provide them with product for themselves. Including special coupon codes or offers for their readers can also be a great way to create buzz about your product.
And if you're a little stumped about who to reach out to, you can always ask your audience. For Mikkayla's example with the ghee butter and the paleo crowd, you could post, what are some paleo blogs that you're following right now?
Absolutely.
All right, and just to give you an idea of what constitutes an influencer, In the SEO world, this gentleman, Rand Fishkin, is a bit of a celebrity as far as SEO celebrities can go. And as you can see, Rand is very active on Twitter. He has 250,000 Twitter followers, mostly SEOs, so very targeted, probably some digital marketing folks in there too. So what a great place to get a shout out if you want SEO folks to use your product or service, like BuzzSumo here, which I wasn't really familiar with BuzzSumo. I may have heard their name in passing. But now that I saw this tweet, I understand they are a content marketing tool, which is something I might want to explore in the future.
So one of my personal favorite parts of an audit is checking in on your competitors. Begin on Facebook, and while you're looking at how active they are on Facebook, add them to your pages to watch list to easily track their progress. Facebook will also allow you to check up, to keep an eye on up to 5 pages. Follow your competitors' pages and check back often. Check the other networks that you're wanting to be active on and see how often your competitors are tweeting, what they're pinning, and their following to followers ratio. It doesn't hurt to see who exactly your competitors are following or who's following them. It's a quick and easy peek into their audience. You might find that some of your competitors are active throughout the day on several networks, while others post occasionally about a new product or a sale.
And you can even go a little bit deeper here. You can start looking at those things I was talking about earlier, engagement metrics. So are people liking, commenting, sharing? Those can actually really help you get a good idea for what type of content is resonating with your audiences. You can use those performance benchmarks from your competitors as well as your past performance benchmarks to help create goals for yourself going forward so you know what growth and what success will really look like.
And when it comes to benchmarking, don't forget the more aspirational brands either. One of our colleagues recently took on a client who's selling what we would call geeky jewelry, right? Jewelry that celebrates the nerd lifestyle and science and things like that, fun things. As part of our competitive research, we looked at a company called Think Geek, which is very well known in the sector. It's not a direct competitor per se, but they are active. They talk to a similar audience, and they are totally getting social media right. So if you look here, they have about 1 million likes. They post regularly without being over the top or overkill. Their tone is funny, approachable, and smart, something that really appeals to their audience. And we can certainly mimic some of these content types for our new client. I would probably even like this page and share some of their more successful posts with our audience. And to give you some examples, here are some non-sales, non-promotional related posts that they have. These are purely brand-oriented and intended to engage and entertain their audience. These quirky, fun posts elicit tons of likes and shares, and they also allow the audience to step in and make a witty comment here or there, or tag their friends like Raquel does here. Again, on the right, we have the Baby Godzilla lizard post, which I love. We've got tons of engagements, lots of likes and shares, and the brand ambassadors are making comments here and sharing sort of their funny take on the situation. Likewise, here are some product-related posts. These are trying to sell directly, and still their personality shines through. They engage their community, and the brand ambassadors are sending these products to their friends.
It's true. Competitors can be a great source for social media strategy inspiration.
And with Father's Day just around the corner, I'm going to, I guess it's the 21st,
Yep.
I'm going to need to get this Picard tie for my dad because that would be an amazing Father's Day gift because he is a Star Trek fan.
That's awesome. So once your audit's done, you're ready to move forward with your campaign. But where exactly do you begin?
So we mentioned that social media is a powerful tool for branding. But before we delve into talking about brand voice, we wanted to share this insight with everybody.
The art of marketing is the art of brand building. If you're not a brand, you're a commodity. Then price is everything and the low-cost producer is the only winner.
It's sad but true. If you don't want to be treated like a commodity in the marketplace, you need to establish and build your brand.
Your strategy starts with your brand voice, which will help set you apart from your competitors. Based on your research and client persona development, define who your brand is or should be. If your company was a person, describe that person. For example, if we were talking about Apple, Apple could be described as stylish, innovative, easygoing, casual, and cool. He's the approachable cool guy.
Another great example of a brand that sort of nails their brand voice is Weight Watchers. Their brand is empowering, empathetic, and dependable, similar to something like your best friend, which totally resonates with their audience. And you also want to find that voice that speaks to your community.
I want you to find your voice, be consistent with that voice across all your channels, but tailor your message to the channel's format. For instance, Sigma Beauty does a good job of this. Here we have a Facebook post, Instagram post, and tweet from Sigma Beauty that are all pictures of their products.
Their branding and voice are consistent, but the content is specific to the channel it appears on. Next stop, profile optimization. Okay, I learned about this from you, Mikkayla. But now I know how important profile optimization is, which as an SEO totally makes sense to me.
Yes, and just like with SEO, an optimized profile can make your profile more discoverable. And really, it's one of the easiest ways for a company to look unpolished and miss out on branding opportunities is when their profiles aren't optimized correctly. So you'll want to make sure that your bios or about us sections are filled out thoroughly with a keyword-savvy description. Be sure to include your contact information too.
Now those keywords will make it so people can discover you through search, but don't go crazy, don't go bananas. Keywords need to be present but not oppressive. Too many keywords will read poorly and hurt your branding, and as with SEO, you should always incorporate keywords naturally.
Correct. And if you're optimizing on Twitter or Instagram, you should consider adding your brand's hashtag to your bio. We've conducted audits for clients that weren't capitalizing on their brand hashtag, but their customers were using it anyway. So once we went in and re-optimized their profiles, we saw an increase in followers as well as happy customers using their hashtag. It's also important to make sure that your images are formatted correctly. Each network has different requirements for the image sizes. There are several helpful tools online that can easily resize your images for you quickly and easily. Our team likes to use PicMonkey. So next up, establishing a budget. To get your content and products in front of the right people, it's going to take some resources, mainly time, human capital, and ad spend.
In my opinion, the real cost of social media is human capital, mainly time and creativity. Ad spend and reporting tools are fairly low in comparison.
That's very true. So when establishing an ad budget, start by asking yourself, what's the goal of this network's campaign? Is it to increase the amount of fans you have so your messaging has greater reach and increasing your brand exposure? Or maybe you want to increase the clicks back to your website. Or maybe it's to entice someone to come back and purchase a product after they've left your website without purchasing. The more ambitious our objectives, the more time it'll take to achieve them.
And that's actually something we work with our customers on a ton, is really helping them get an idea for what they need, people-wise, technology-wise, things like that, to actually get their program up and running. And a really good way to do that is after you kind of plan out how much time you think you might need to kind of do the outbound part of your marketing, you can also look at analytics and look at just numbers and volume to actually get an idea for how many opportunities are out there for you to engage with, whether that's questions coming in about your brand, or whether that's situations or conversations that you may be able to artfully insert yourself into to talk about your brand a little more in this space. But once you add those numbers to that baseline, it gives you an idea about what the full marketing potential and program looks like, and you can kind of backtrack from there and figure out how many people you need to do it.
I totally agree. Simply put, you're going to need to take an honest assessment of what you can invest in this marketing channel as far as time goes. How much of your time are you really realistically willing to commit? And if you don't have time, can you make this a specific employee's responsibility? Would you consider hiring an employee, maybe a full-time person or part-time or even an intern? Does outsourcing to an agency make more financial sense? And if you do decide to manage your own social media, or you have a single person on your team doing it, you need to consider tools like Hootsuite and Simply Measured to help your efficiencies in data collection.
And when it comes to your ad budget, Facebook will remain to be one of the easiest and most user-friendly networks to run ads on. And just about everybody's there, which is great. Unfortunately, in the past year, Facebook has made it harder for a business to get their content in front of their audience for free.
Yeah, that means you're probably not going to show up naturally in your audience's feed unless you pay to boost your post up.
Yep. And all the original content that you've put blood, sweat, and tears into creating may only be seen by a handful of people if you don't boost it. By boosting a post, you'll be able to get your content in front of more eyes, and you'll have the option to specify who should see your content. Is it your fans and their friends, or would you prefer to get it in front of the eyes that you may not have heard about your brand, but fall into specific demographics?
So pay to play is definitely part of the game now. I actually spend a lot of time working in the paid social space, but that doesn't mean you can skimp on content. Content still has to be great. In fact, I personally think content has to be better than it's ever been before. If you think about it this way, you're competing in this hyper-filtered feed where people are looking at things from their friends, they have personal connections to all of that stuff. And you're actually trying to cut through that in this mass, great stream of content that they're seeing from all their friends. And so if you think about it, you need great content to cut through. Bad content with a big ad spend is actually probably more detrimental when you're thinking about your brand than putting organic content out there and not even putting money behind it, or more likely and preferred, putting great content out there with ad spend behind it.
Absolutely. And generally, Facebook ads are less expensive than advertising on Google or Bing. But if you're just starting out, consider starting with $300 a month. With $10 a day, you'll be able to run multiple campaigns. And as your audience grows, you can increase your monthly budget. So if you're looking to spend your money on other networks, consider trying Pinterest or Twitter. Pinterest has a few options when it comes to advertising on their website. It can be more expensive than Facebook, but when done correctly, it does work. Your options include promoted pins and, like Ron mentioned, the recently released Buy a Button that came out last week. At this time, Pinterest's advertising options are only available to those in the US, and they do require getting on a waiting list. We've seen some of our clients get approved in as little as a couple of days and others in 2 weeks.
Honestly, I love Pinterest because you don't have to pay to see results on it. Right now, Pinterest advertising is a little on the pricey side. This could change in the future. You might have to pay to play here as well, but today you shouldn't feel obligated to pay to advertise on Pinterest. I personally purchase off Pinterest all the time, and it's not because of promoted pins, and I haven't even seen the Buy It button yet. It's not that that's driving it. It's just because I like what I see, and it's a visually driven network. And I'm not just buying clothes and shoes. I bought my backyard furniture on Pinterest, which was a very expensive day of pinning for me.
That's because pins can drive more revenue. Also, consider using Twitter ads. They can be a great option if your audience is there, but they do have a higher cost per click than Facebook. But they can still be cheaper than traditional advertising costs of pay-per-click or shopping feeds. If you find that your audience is active on the network or that your competitor is active and has a large audience, consider these Twitter ads. Again, you don't have to advertise on Twitter to be successful. It's just an extra option. You'll also be able to select who you want to see your content by associating your ads with certain keywords and basic demographic information. Options include tweet engagements, website clicks or conversions. Say you're an app developer, you could run ads for getting your app installed, growing your community by increasing the amount of followers you have, and finding leads on Twitter.
I actually know that Mikkayla once ordered a pizza because of a Twitter ad.
Yep, guilty, and I'm not sorry about it.
So we have our personas in place, our competitive research, our brand voice mapped out, and our budget squared away. Now we need a content calendar.
If you want to have an active presence on social media without having to stay logged in or spend hours a day monitoring your networks, a content calendar will be your friend. I'm a huge fan of them as they help you they help you work smarter, not harder. You can set up your content calendar every week, or if you'd like to plan even further ahead, choose to set it up for the month. When it comes to the holidays, you might want to plan a little further out.
And we're actually going to be doing another webinar on planning out your holiday social media strategy. That'll be in early September, so tune in for that.
Start building your audience now. The holidays can and will creep up on you. So begin plugging in information on your calendar to highlight when you'll be posting original content, like blog posts, giveaways, product highlights, or any promotions that you may be running. For instance, you might have a flash sale on a specific product every Friday. If that's on your calendar, you'll be able to plan ahead instead of scrambling Thursday afternoon or Friday morning to get a quality post created.
Like we previously mentioned, we're fans of working smarter, not harder. So once you have a calendar mapped out, you might consider using an automated posting tool to keep you organized and, let's face it, sane. It'll prevent you from spending all day on your social media, so you can also focus on running your business. Facebook does allow you to schedule posts directly on the platform, but if you prefer a more integrated system, you can keep everything in one spot and schedule on an all-inclusive platform like Hootsuite or Buffer. TweetDeck is specific to Twitter and will let you schedule tweets in advance. So if Twitter is critical to your strategy, that might be worth looking at too. Other helpful tools include Google Analytics, but keep in mind Google Analytics info, their data is specific to your website. So to understand what's happening on the social media channels, you'll need to check the analytics provided by each channel, which honestly can be a huge time suck, rather cumbersome. And remember that intern I mentioned earlier, you might just outsource it to them, make them do this part for you. Or you can invest in a more robust tool that aggregates everything like Simply Measured. This aggregated data will make your life much easier. I really do think Simply Measured allows you to delve into performance much more deeply.
Thanks for the shout out there, Allison. If you aren't blessed with interns who can do all the work. Simply Measured, as Alison mentioned, we focus purely on reports for the social space. So we actually have reports that cover Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Google+, Vine, Tumblr, and what am I missing? And Google Analytics. We actually bring Google Analytics in and help you match it up with that social data to help you get a better full sort of funnel look at what's going on. And we also let you look at things like keywords, hashtags, and influencers across those channels. So you can really, in one stop, seriously get all of your social analytics in one place.
And the kind of insights you can glean from this sort of aggregated data is really priceless, in my opinion. It saves you time, it helps you make data-driven decisions regarding your strategy, and that's something we're all very passionate about here. Right. So now that you have your calendar in place, you need to craft messaging that encourages customer engagement. I grabbed this post on the left. It's from Anthropology. It came through this weekend. I don't really Instagram, full disclosure, but to win this shopping spree, I just might. This is a post I would happily engage with.
Encouraging customer engagement might feel a little weird at first, but with time, I promise it's going to get easier, and often your audience is eager to engage. Happy customers will double as brand ambassadors. Choose to run giveaways, highlight your customers' best use of your products. This includes retweeting them or reposting their Instagram photo of them raving about your product, or comment on their posts that they've left on any of your networks. We live in a world where social gratification means a lot, and it's an easy way to make someone stay. When a brand takes the time to respond to someone online, it often amplifies how well a person thinks of that brand.
Other easy engagement tactics include creating a custom hashtag. If your product is an original, you can allow customers to brag about it easily with these custom hashtags.
I always think about one of my personal favorites, which is Kettle Pizza. They have a custom hashtag that their customers created for them. That engagement's really cool.
And Mikkayla has now talked about pizza twice in the webinar.
It won't be the last.
Our team, everybody knows Mikkayla loves pizza, which is a great thing. Also, if all else fails, ask questions. For Kettle Pizza, for example, we could ask, what kind of toppings are you going to put on your pizza this weekend? And folks like Mikkayla would happily engage that.
Absolutely. And in case you're wondering, it's jalapenos and bacon.
Yep.
So we keep mentioning original content, and with good reason. Original content has the power to go viral. It requires just two things: creativity and an audience eager to share the message.
I always think back to Dollar Shave Club here at the top right of this slide. That video, it kind of made their business. It's an extreme example, but a clever meme or fun photo could have some of that same viral energy and generate a lot of brand awareness for you.
And generally, images and videos will perform best, but all original content reinforces your brand. This can include how one can style your accessories when they're on the go or in a series of outfit of the day posts. Or it can include videos on how to create the perfect pizza using your brand's latest grilling gadget.
So these posts will reinforce your brand personality, and then you can use evergreen content that can be repurposed on multiple channels. And just so we're clear, evergreen content never ceases to be relevant, meaning it drives traffic continually and the message doesn't cease to matter. For example, as the mother of a 1-year-old, infant teething resources are highly relevant to my interests right now. So here we have in the lower right-hand corner a blog article on that topic. Please, save me from infant teething. So I would read this article, maybe I'll repin it, or pin it to one of my boards so I can reference it later. And if I'm really impressed with this content from this blogger, I can easily like them on Facebook so that I get notices on future blogs. And these social widgets make it really easy to do that. You'll see the social widgets on the left and in the top right there.
And this type of always relevant content can be repurposed over and over again, as they never cease providing value.
And last, here at the bottom of this slide, we have a bullet that has a few free resources for creating original content easily. These links will be clickable when we send you the slides and recorded video.
All right, so what exactly does good social media look like? It entails original content, like we see here with this video. It has consistency as well as nice images.
And it's more pizza. All right, so Kettle Pizza does great use of boards here. This is on Pinterest. This pizza recipe board is sure to delight their current followers and attract new ones who may eventually decide to purchase their product.
And here on Twitter, we have more original content, great images, and their branding is consistent.
And likewise for Instagram. Kettle Pizza nails it by reposting images of their happy customers as well as pictures from their team. All right, coming up, we've got some do and don't slides that we're going to breeze through pretty quickly here. But we are, just to remind you, having open Q&A at the end shortly. So be sure to jot down any questions you might have that come up here. So let's start with some general guidelines for social media in general. So add social sharing buttons to your store template, blog, and product pages. Be sure to optimize your profiles and include links back to your website. Put links in your email marketing back to your social profiles. Format images correctly. We bring this up repeatedly because it's important. You need to format them to the network they're on, and PicMonkey makes this really easy to do. Create unique, one-of-a-kind visuals and offer valuable content that is highly shareable. All of that should be unique. Follow, like, relevant brands and groups, but pace yourself. If you do too much, there are sometimes the channels will eject you because they'll think you're a robot. Reshare content based on social trends. Promote your blog regularly. Know the right times of day to post for your audience, and tailor your messaging to the network it appears on. Here are our don'ts. This is a favorite recommendation of mine. Don't go bananas, period. Don't go bananas on sales stuff, and don't go bananas on any one tactic. It's good to space out and try different tactics there. Don't be one-sided. Reply to comments. Like and follow other folks. Retweet, repin. Don't forget to give credit when credit's due. If you reference an influencer, call them out. Chances are they'll give you some social media love on their channels. Don't post personal information unless, of course, it's highly relevant or you're part of the brand. And don't engage too often.
So for Facebook, we recommend with any of your posts to keep the 80-20 rule in mind. Keep it 80% social. Try not to go above 20% of sales-related posts. Be timely with your responses for people that send you messages or posts on your profile. Do keep your posts short and sweet. Don't be afraid to use images and GIFs. We recommend paying Facebook via boosting your posts or using Facebook advertising. And remember to share posts that have garnered a lot of interaction already that are relevant to your brand.
And if you can recall ThinkGeek from an earlier slide, I might repost one of the Total Recall posts. It had a lot of traction, so it's got proven success with a similar audience.
As far as Facebook don'ts, we recommend not ignoring your audience or being too lengthy with your posts. Don't clutter up people's feeds by posting too regularly. Nobody wants to see a post from your brand every hour on the hour. Don't miss out on trending topics, and don't forget to format your images correctly.
For Pinterest, be sure to verify your website, come up with catchy, keyword-optimized names for your boards, and choose really impactful covers for them. Add a location if it's relevant. Link pins back to a highly relevant page to what the pin is referencing. Comment on other pins, and even comment on your own. We find that longer comments and descriptions get noticed in the feeds. Use high-quality images. Post many products once you've built a following, but again, pace yourself. No one wants to see 1,000 of your products just cluttering up their feed all at once. And then the don'ts. Don't only pin your products. You need to diversify. Don't pin random, uninteresting things. But don't miss out on popular topics that might not be super relevant to your product, but they are relevant to your audience's interests. Don't forget to ask your Facebook and Twitter followers who you should follow on Pinterest, and don't go #mad because they don't even matter on Pinterest. They don't register.
So as far as my favorite social network, what you should be doing is including keywords in your bio for discoverability. You should be trying to look for opportunities for true human engagement. That search button on Twitter can be your best friend. Remember to use images wherever you can. These do get noticed more, just like on Facebook. We recommend keeping it short. Shorter posts tend to perform better. And if you don't keep it short, Twitter will cut you off after 140 characters. We recommend looking for influencers and interacting with them. And again, remember to format your images correctly. As far as what you shouldn't be doing on Twitter is obsessing over your follower count. Though followers are important, we don't think that it's something that you should stress out about. Don't think every single follower. It's a bit spammy. If I had to do that for all my clients, I'd probably spend a few hours a day on that alone. Don't send automated responses. They're very 2011. Don't overuse the hashtags. We recommend keeping it to 3 or less per tweet. Don't forget to customize your Twitter background and cover photos since it's a great opportunity to get your brand out there. And don't start a tweet with the @someone unless you only want them or the people that are following both of you to see it.
All right. So we don't have time here today to go over every social media platform out there. And for e-commerce, we really see the bulk of sales conversion coming from Facebook and Pinterest, and for some industries, Polyvore here. But it's important to note a group of increasingly popular channels. And so we've got Tumblr, Instagram, Reddit, Polyvore, Snapchat, and Vine. As your business grows, you may want to keep your strategy growing, and these channels are worth keeping an eye on. They might resonate with your audience.
Totally, and I'm going to be the numbers guy again and say, it's all right to test and learn on these new networks just to give your team an idea, if these channels are going to be viable for you in the future. Look for things like, is your audience there? Try to get a number around what that audience or total addressable market on that network looks like for you. Are they engaging with stuff? Get some data there on competitors or brands in the similar space. And then before you do that, go ahead and time-bound that test and learn period. Say you're going to do it for a week, you're going to do it for a month, and use that to help kind of extrapolate out and look at what the time commitment and possible benefits of going onto these new networks might be for you.
Awesome, and that's really the name of the game with much of digital marketing. It's test, measure, and modify.
All right, so let's talk about measuring success. How do you know if your campaign's performing?
As I mentioned, digital marketing, it's all about reviewing your progress, reflecting on the data, and adjusting your strategies accordingly. And with social media, this typically revolves around identifying the posts that work best and replicating that energy that they had. And you can find ways to evoke that same reaction. Likewise, you can identify underperforming posts and sort of weed those out and learn from those mistakes.
So of course, revenue is going to be important to any business, but there are other objectives to social media that are worthy of tracking.
Like boosting SEO. You can track your link profile, and of course things like traffic, relevance, and branding will all boost your website's organic performance as well. So if you have a solid social media strategy in place, you'll likely see growth in your branded and direct traffic as well. And there's also a branding value to simply being part of the conversation and keeping your brand top of mind. We'll also want to talk about actual metrics you can track, these quantifiable numbers.
So let's get started with the obvious. Start by tracking your own channel's data, monitoring your likes, shares, comments, follows, and clicks on ads.
And this is sort of Ron's area of expertise, so I'm going to let him talk a little bit about how you can use social analytics to drive your strategy.
Totally. This is, just like I said, an area that's very near and dear to my heart. But we think of analytics kind of in two places in what we like to call kind of the social marketing process or plan, if you will. The first is in that plan stage. That's where you can analyze the market. You can do a lot of the things we were talking about, where you're finding your audiences, you're defining your strategy, you're getting deep into what your competitors are doing. Then you go out there and you do this stuff, right? You create awesome content, you publish it, you monitor and respond, you're talking with customers daily, sending them through your funnel. And on the back end, the measurement, that's where, talking about looking at performance, seeing how campaigns and programs are doing, and then optimizing based off those, making your tactics better and more impactful. And to go a little bit deeper into that, I kind of talk about audiences a lot today, because audiences, in my mind, are incredibly important in the social space. Conversations are another area on that plan side where you can get deep there. You can go look at keywords, look at words that people are using around products like yours or even with your brand. That helps you get an idea for sort of brand sentiment or share of voice, things like that. Look at your competitors. And the metrics on that side are going to be very similar to what you're going to be looking at on your measure side. So actions, engagement actions like likes, comments, shares, retweets, clicks, favorites, things like that across all the channels where you're actually working. And then when you get to the measure side, brand activities are really the first bucket that we break things down with our customers, and that is, how many times are you posting? What are you posting? What type of content are you posting? That gives you an idea about content effectiveness when you start laddering up to these different measurement techniques. So when you take those brand activities add-on audience engagement, you can then start to say, all right, if we're posting photos with dogs in them, they are 4 times more likely to drive engagement, drive click-through, drive conversion, and drive larger basket size than if we post photos with cats in them or something like that. You can start to get down to those granular levels of measurement and start making some real business impact. Boom. The last one on the back end is, what are these things actually doing for us? And at the end of the day, that's where we're connecting things like social metrics with Google Analytics or with whatever type of on-site metrics you're bringing in, and actually looking at that business impact. At the end of the day, that's where you're going to make or break your programs, is how are you actually driving business impact.
And that's great, because what we're really in the business of is making sales when it comes to e-commerce. So it's also good to pop into Google Analytics and better understand which channels are driving visits and revenue to your site. So in this example, we have a spike on May 4th here, and on the 31st here, and a prolonged period of greater traffic here. And this is around May 12th. So what I would want to do, looking at these metrics and considering the business success that these drove, I'd want to drill down and see, A, what channels are driving these spikes, and then B, I want to look back at the posts on those channels that drove the traffic and the revenue. And I'd want to reflect on those posts, so what made them so successful, and try to tap into that energy in future posts.
And while you're looking at your Google Analytics, don't forget to have a look at assisted conversions as well. These are conversions that happen after social media interaction, but social media wasn't the last channel to send the converting traffic over, but it did help close the deal.
And while these may not identify the posts that sort of drove the success, they will help you understand the overall value that your social media is driving. All right. So now we're going to pause very briefly to gather together your questions. We've already got them going up on the whiteboard here. Please sit tight. If you get restless, feel free to tweet or post to Facebook your favorite takeaway from today's webinar with the hashtag #SellMoreOnline. And that'll enter you for a chance to win a free social media audit from our social media team.
All right, and we're back.
Okay, so this is Alison. I'm going to be reading the questions, and since Mikkayla and Ron are really social media gurus, they'll probably do most of the answering. I might pipe in when it's SEO relevant, because that's my thing. All right, so the first question. We're in a crowded industry, home decor. We also have a limited budget. Which networks and tactics would work best for us?
I'm going to go ahead and get this one started. So if you're in the home decor, the first 3 networks that I'm thinking of are Pinterest, Houzz, and actually let's push it at 4 because I'm tossed between number 3, Polyvore or Facebook. You're going to want to put up a lot of pictures of your products, how people can use them. Home decor is huge on Pinterest. I recently decorated my entire house because of Pinterest. And all of these options don't require a monetary budget. They're just going to require time.
And Ron, do you have anything to add there? I think Pinterest.
I'd agree there. Knowing you have probably limited time and limited budget, being able to use imagery from one photo shoot to be able to populate through to those different sites, I think could really help you with your reach and frequency.
And maybe as you grow your brand, perhaps Instagram would be an aspirational place to start playing.
Absolutely. And as far as the tactics go, if you're going to start on Pinterest, start laying out your boards on different rooms, dream kitchens, dream bathrooms, great looking backyards, patios to summer grill on, things of that sort. And then start searching for those in the home industry to follow and start repinning some of their products.
You might even explore your audience and see what their tastes are, because I know, for instance, I moved to a new house recently and I did a lot of mid-century modern type searches, and so maybe there's an opportunity there as far as keyword targeting goes. Okay, let's do this other one. Do you have to worry about competitors stealing your followers? How do you protect yourself?
So as far as competitors, we talked about the research and looking at your competitors' followers and their audience. One of my favorite things to do, and can often be one of the fastest things to find who to follow on networks, is to pop into Twitter and see who's following your brand. I'll take a look at someone's bio, and if I see relevant keywords or they could fit into my clients' demographics, then I'm giving them a follow, and I'm running down that list to see if these people are going to follow back and at the end check out any of our clients. There's not really a huge way of being able to protect yourself. Just as you're able to look at your competitors' information, they can look at yours as well.
I do think this is easier said than done, but the best protection is doing it better, offering better content, offering more fun, entertaining things when appropriate, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
I'd agree with that. I was going to say, like, the best way to keep your customers in any business or in any line of advertising is to have the better product and have a better relationship with them. I'm a very nervous person, so I'm always thinking that our customers are going to get stolen. And so if you kind of, approach each action that you take on social with the fact that you're trying to keep them as engaged as possible and a fan of your brand, then I think you should be okay.
Love it. Okay, so next question. When do you use the hashtag and the @ indicator? Is it an indicator?
It's an @ sign.
@ sign. There you go. You can tell I'm not really on Twitter.
So the hashtag can be very helpful on both Twitter and Instagram. The hashtag, you use it for whatever you're wanting to talk about not specifically, but in the realm of it. For instance, we're using one today for Sell More Online. We could tag social media. In the instance of Kettle Pizza, you're using the hashtag Kettle Pizza to discuss their products, and it allows you to see what other people are discussing in regards to that specific topic. And for the @ sign, that's when you want to mention a brand or someone on Twitter or Instagram so that they can get a notification that you've mentioned them.
And I cannot get people to converse with us on social media. Any ideas?
Ron, do you want to get this one kicked off?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, it's always going to be it's a very open-ended question, which I like, because I guess that means there's no wrong answer. But, I would say maybe you may be dealing with a problem. This person didn't tell us what industry they were in, but you may be dealing with a problem where there's either a low audience in those spaces, or you need to do some more research about where your audience actually is. So I'd say maybe take a step back, do some research, try to find out where you think the people that buy your products are. Think about what they do, think about what type of people they are, and start looking for those conversations. And from there, you can kind of edge out and start driving and engaging in conversations that are about your space, about the space where your products or services are. And from there, you can kind of, start making those connections, talking with those people, slowly building that audience and building that sort of back and forth communication between you and your customers.
Absolutely. And I think one of the easiest ways, of course, it's often easier said than done, to get people to converse with you is, better quality content. It could be a nice visual image that you've created with tools such as Recite or Canva, or pictures that your clients have sent in of, them being, happy customers and brand ambassadors using your products.
This, you may or may not agree with this, but I'm going to throw it out there. I think sometimes appealing to the ego subtly can be a big motivator for people. So if you can find interesting ways of having them sort of pull out their creativity and get their 2 cents, I think that's powerful. I've seen it work with my feed.
Correct. And we have clients that we've been able to get high engagement rates when we post their product and we ask their fans, if you had the chance to win whatever our product may be, where would you take it with you? Would you take it traveling? Would you use it around the house? Whatever it may be. And posts like that have seen higher engagement rates than just blank statements. Mm-hmm. So.
And just to add this, I know we're pushing engagement. There are times when no engagement is, I guess, the status quo. I think of myself on Pinterest. I am very active on Pinterest, but I'm what you would call a selfish pinner. I'm not pinning to network, really. I'm pinning to influence my purchasing decisions. So, and I know I'm also a lurker on Reddit. I never comment on Reddit, but I lurk. So, you know.
I think several of us are lurkers on Reddit.
Yeah. So we're running a little out of time. Do you want to do one more? One more, or should we wrap? One more. Okay, great. What are some creative ways to build a following? That's a hard one.
Yeah, there's so many options that, depending on the network that you're going to focus your efforts on, you know, if it's going to be Twitter, pop in again, look at your competitors to see who's following them. Use this search tool on Twitter. You know, if, say, you sell hunting products, start searching for people that enjoy hunting on Twitter. If it's for Facebook and you're wanting to figure out which pages you should engage with, pop into your competitor's page and go look at the pages that they've liked. And so if you go in and like those same pages, or you know, the ones that are relevant to you, you'll begin to get a feed where you can grab content easily to share with your followers.
I also am a firm believer that data can spur creativity. In and of itself, data is pretty hard fixed numbers, but if you review data and kind of get an idea of what makes your target audience tick, it will spur creative ideas. Or if it doesn't for you, you could find somebody on your team where, you know, it gets their creative spark going.
I'd also say, like, using real life connections. So if you're a brick and mortar store, if you have a brick and mortar aspect to your business, you know, actually engaging with the people that come into your store or business and getting them to follow you and building your audiences that way, and also using your connections. So if there are brands that, you know, people either use your product or service with, that you know who those people are, you can reach out to them and ask them to, you know, potentially ask that their followers engage with your brand or follow your brand as well, and you can, you know, pay the favor back as you start growing.
All right, I think we are now officially out of time. Please keep tweeting and posting to Facebook your favorite takeaway from today's webinar with the hashtag Sell More Online, and that'll give you a chance to win a free social media audit, and we'll be accepting applicants for the next 24 hours or so. I hope you all learned a lot today and it helps build your business. We really appreciate your time. We know you're super busy. Speaking of super busy, many thanks to our special guest, Ron. Thank you, Ron. If you're in the market thank you. If you're in the market for a social media reporting tool, you've got to take a look at Simply Measured. It's the gold standard. And if you want to learn more about social media services here at Volusion, please do reach out. We've got a nice solid team of really brilliant people like Mikkayla here. But that's the webinar. Thank you so much for your time and happy selling, everybody.